Good day, everyone. Our topic is all about imaging and design for social impact. So, first, let's read the overview. The graphic design concept are almost like building blocks. Each layer is on top of each other before you have the base to create something unbelievable. Whether you're creating a logo, a website, or unique picture, the basic principles of graphic design comes with different fundamentals to consider. So, ang graphic design, mura na siya og building blocks. It means, mauna siya ang mga elements of visual design like iyahang mga lines, shape, volume, color, and texture. Para ang result nindot siya lantawon, or can we say aesthetic, it means appreciation of beauty. So let's proceed. What is graphic design? Graphic design is a form of communication that uses colors, shapes, image, and words to create visual content that surrounds us in many forms, namely print and digital media. Effective design communicate information in a way that inspires and informs consumers, making it a critical element for any business success. So, as what like I've said earlier, graphic design, magamit na siya og colors, shapes, image, and also words para mahimo siyang visual content. So, ang visual content, it means online content, primarily image-based. Example is the pictures. Pictures about logo, brands, and then the infographics and online videos. So, when we say graphic design about business success, kailangan dyan na siya og effective, or when we say nindot or bongga nga design para ma-inspire ang mga tao, ilabi na ang mga consumers. Graphic designers create images and layouts for some of the following. First one is the company brand identity, logos, typography, and colors palettes. So, kailangan ang logo sa company para unique siya ng tawon. So, when we say typography naman, makatabang na siya para mo trust ang mga customers, and it also builds a strong sense of brand recognition. So, when we say typographic palette, it helps to tie all communication and informations about your company. For example, the sales promotions, the website copy, to build a brand recognition. The next one is user interfaces on apps and websites. So it means it allows the designers to put information or content para dali ra masabtan sa mga user. The third is books, magazines, newspapers, and other publication. And the fourth is product packaging advertisements, commercial signage for stores, transportation, stadiums, and event spaces. And the last one is the video games. And then for example is the product packaging. So like sa mga rejuvenating set, so kailangan magbutang dyan na sila mga image or layouts para masabtan nato unsaon paggamit sa product. These are the graphic design examples. So next, graphic design helps establish your visual identity, which reflects your company's missions and values. So visual identity means it is a collection of visual elements that serves to represent and differentiate a brand. So sa graphic design, makatabang pod ni siya to establish visual identity. So kailangan yun ni mo magbutang og image or logo sa imuhang brand para ma-attract ang mga taong mopalit, and that's why ma-achieve na dayon nimo imuhang company's mission. The goal of graphic design is to create visual appealing products that convey certain messages or information. Graphic designers focus on branding, typography, layout, and the overall principles of graphic design composition. So, ang goal aning graphic design is kailangan understandable imuhang message or information sa imuhang product para dali ra ma-achieve sa mga tao ang mga response or outcomes sa imuhang product. Lesson 2: Brand and Identity. A brand identity is a set of tools or elements used by a company to create a brand image. So when we say branding is what other people think about your product, company, and services. So when we say identity naman is what the brand looks like from your logo to your color and choices and so much more. A brand image is a customer's perception of the brand consisting of various associations related to it and memories about interacting with it. So, ang brand image, mao ni siya ang mga perception sa mga customers kung unsa ilahang nga experience, feelings, and thoughts about products or service. So, maupod ni siya ang ginatawag nga it's what people believe a brand represents rather than what a brand says it represents. A strong brand identity can make your customers perceive your products and services as higher quality. This empower you to enjoy a price premium. Brand identity allows you to build loyal customers, relationships and lift your bottom line. So it means mao to giingon kanina kung unsay mga experience or feelings nila about sa imong product or service, magbalik-balik yun na sila sa imuha. Then ilabi na ang presyo is barato lang and then effective pud siya. Magbalik-balik jud ang mga customers og palit ana or mao na silang ginatawag nga mga loyal customers. Brand identities can be emotional or rational, and this creates more or less value depending on the consumers or CS. But what is more important is that customers internalize the brand and messages or identify with what the brand represents. So, ang brand identities can be emotional or makatwiran po ni siya. Maka-create po ni siya og daghan or less value depende na lang sa mga customers kung ganahan ba sila or dili. Pero ang importante ani is ang mga consumers, they know and understand the brand messages or identify what's the brand represent. These slides represent the examples of brand and identity. Brand purpose mostly corresponds to the target market's requirements and needs. When the customers get the product they desire, it builds a connection between them and the brand. This long-term association between customers and the brand instigates brand loyalty and trust. A brand logo should be instantly recognizable, simple, unique, and appropriate and memorable. Mostly important is should clearly convey the company's messaging. Companies should also consider the various sizes and shapes their logo will be expected to take from websites, headers to product to stationery. So it means that kailangan gyud ang brand logo is recognizable, simple pero unique siya lantawon and then appropriate pod, then memorable pod iyang mga text and kailangan yun siya i-relate sa company's message.
And now let's move on to lesson 3, the layout and composition. Layout and composition are the building blocks of design. These two focus on the arrangement of your object or elements on your design. Your good text, images, or other elements in the graphic will turn to waste if your layout is not well composed. There are 5 basic principles of layout and composition. These are the proximity, white space, alignment, contrast, and repetition. First is the proximity. Proximity is the process of placing related elements together. Elements that are not related to that group should be separated to show that these elements are not related to that group. Take family reunion as an example. You are grouped by family, and anyone who don't have any relationship to your family should be separated. In design, block text or graphics that are related should be grouped together to make your design easier to understand. Second is white space. White space is not literally the white space that you found on design, but rather the negative space between lines, paragraphs, and elements in that design. There are 2 types of white space. There's micro and macro white space. Micro from the word micro, mini space between paragraph lines, menu items, or other elements.
And macro white space, large spaces between contents and elements.
How important is white space in design? So, number one is to improve comprehension. Space between lines in a paragraph makes the content legible and easily scannable to the readers or viewers. Second, focus and attention. Macro white space help guide the viewers to the focus area in the design. And third, increase interaction rate. White space in design help the viewers to get the message quickly even without looking at the instructions. Fourth is to guide the user through the local grouping. White space help you to achieve the proximity of your design. Fifth, branding and design tone. Let us look back the steps of brand identify design. The way how you are going to apply white space in your design helps you create your own brand's personality. And lastly, to create a breathing space for users. A lot of people believe that in a design, one must maximize the space by putting contents on it. Having enough white space makes your eyes rest, help us breathe, and not to be overwhelmed with the information. Third principle of layout and composition. Alignment. Alignment helps designers to organize different elements in their composition. This is similar to the alignment that we see in Microsoft Word or other productivity tools. Effective use of alignment gives your composition a definitive structure and a creative balance. Alignment may be left, centered, right, or justified. Fourth is the contrast. Contrast means one element is opposite to the other element. This does not only apply to colors, but to typeface and size of elements as well. Contrast helps you to catch the viewer's eye, create a direction, or giving emphasis to something. For example, light and dark colors, smooth and rough textures, large and small shapes. And lastly, the repetition. Repetition simply means to use of the same typefaces, color, palettes, or other elements to achieve consistency in your composition. This creates unity in your composition or make your project connected to each other.
What is typography? Typography is the art of arranging letters and text in a way that makes the copy legible, clear, and visual appealing to the reader. It involves font style, appearance, and structure, which aims to elicit certain emotions and convey specific messages. In short, typography is what brings the text to life. The main purpose of typography is to make life easier for your readership by making it easier to read what you've written. It makes it possible to quickly scan your text. It entices your readers to engage with your text. It conserves the most precious and scarcity commodity reader attention. What is typography use? In many of its applications, typography styles and uses design elements to give artistic elegance to writing and print content. In the case of advertising and using writing to market brand messages, typography can be used to give different styles and aesthetic to the writing displayed online in print materials. There are 7 simple principles of typography, and these is number 1, proximity rule. Observing the rule of proximity, the title in the text should visually and meaning refers to the block or paragraph, which means that the title should not fly between the text and previous next blocks. Number 2 is logical hierarchy for headings. In order to visually differentiate the levels of text and not lose your hierarchy, you need to use contrast to separate the different hierarchy levels. Number 3 is sufficient leading. Leading is the spacing between lines of type. While typing, it is very important to choose the correct leading for readability purposes. It is much more pleasant to read text when there is a place to rest your eyes between the lines. Number 4 is hanging punctuation. Hanging punctuation is a method of setting punctuation marks outside the margins of a text body. Number 5 is capital letters. It is very difficult to read the text in a capital letters due to the fact that all of the letters have the same relative height. Number 6 is proper center text alignment. Aligning text to the center should only be done in small batches of words. Otherwise, it will be difficult for a reader to concentrate and reduces readability. And the last one is equal length text columns. When splitting text into columns, make sure that they are visual or equal with a small difference not exceeding to 1 to 2 lines. Otherwise, there will be an imbalance of text blocks due to the incorrect use of empty space. There will be more emphasis or put on the block with more text and the columns will be more difficult to read. What are the examples of typography? For examples, Garamond Times and Arial are typefaces, whereas font is a specific style of typeface with a set width, size, and weight. For example, Arial is a typeface. 16 PT Arial God is a font. And there are 5 basic classifications of typefaces. The first one is serif, the second one is sans serif, the third is script, the fourth is monospace, and the fifth display. Good typography is measured by how well it reinforces the meaning of the text, not by some abstract skill of narrative. Typographic choices that work for one text won't necessarily work for another. Corollary, good typographers don't rely on rote solutions. One size never fits all. What makes a bad typography? Sometimes characters can be tedious and illegible, but what makes type bad is how it's used and how it communicates. Using goofy comic sans on your government forms bad. Thank you.
Lesson 6, image. Image is a visual representation of something, while a digital image is a binary representation of visual data. These images can take the form of photographs, graphics, and individual video frames. And for this purpose, an image is a picture that was created or copied and stored in electronic form. So, basically, di ba, sa yun nga pagsabot bitaw, image is kita bitaw picture na, di ba? Image mo sa kana bitaw picture kana sa cellphone na makita ninyo nga mag-picture mo or kanang makita niyo sa mga gallery sa kanang mga screenshots. Na image. So, di ba, in electronic form pero kana nga image is kana bitaw nagyapon siya makita ninyo sa inyong mga picture bitaw na check ninyo ang info tas na may makita kana bitaw mga .jpg may .jf nagyapon nang gyapon siya sa part sa ng image bitaw inana. So next, what is image? Una is image is a physical likeness or representation of a person, animal or thing, photograph, painted, sculpture, or otherwise made visible. So aside sa aside sa picture, nakabutang tayo painted, sculpture, or otherwise made visible. Pwede ka po na ito na siya matawag nga image. Kay siguro yung makita na ito, ano bitaw siya, nakabutang tayo made visible. Bisang pa huwag ka na bitang gi-okit na siya, kanapit ang mga kahoy nga form of art ng inana bitaw. Matawag ako nato na siya nga image or kanang mga kanang mga drawing or kanang mga paint ng inana. Matawag nato na siya na image. And image is physical counterpart or appearance of an object as is produced by reflection from a mirror, refraction by a lens, or the passage of luminous rays through small aperture and the reception on a surface. And so third meaning sa image day is it is a mental representation, idea or conception. So basically kanapit ang kanang magunaw na lang mo kanapit ang tawagan ni Third term, kaya mag-imagine mo, baka na bitaw. Dahil mo na overthink. Dahil mo na overthink, yung mga thoughts mo na, dahil mo na sa image. Dahil baka na bitaw, mag-create mo og image bitaw sa inyo mo na bitaw. Kaya na, di ba? Matawag mo na sa mga image na lang, naalang sa mga idea bitaw. Pero in-connected bitaw sa aning subject sa IT ba? Karon nga technology is kana bitaw nga computer nga pwede na kamo mo drawing na may nanag ba? Mo jay mo mauna-unaan bitaw buhat na ga-create na image dad sa una-una tas di pakita pag mo made visible bitaw. May mo gyapon na siya image. May nana di ba? So, brief history of image or photography. Images is an art form that was invented in 1830s and become publicly recognized 10 years after. So, di ba, nakabutang diri, it is an art. Di ba? Image is an art. Ang pag-ingon din na, nga kung utsay mauna-unaan sa mga tao, ilang mabuhat, makita, ma-made visible nila. Matawag na to siya na image. But, ang nakabutang diri, in 1830s, but become publicly recognized 10 years after. So, sa 1830s nga era, wala pa siguro kayo siya na kanabit na na-recognize sa mga tao nga, siguro mga tao sa una nga, wala na, di na magdugay, minanabit daw. Kumoto, nakabatan 13 years after siguro, nakita sa mga tao nga, muli na di, nana di na siya, minanabit daw. Kaya ninyo, natay. Before photography was invented, humans had figured out how lenses and cameras work. Although they could project the image onto a wall piece of paper, printing wasn't an option at that time because recording light was much more difficult than projecting it. Before photography, people developed a device for processing images called the camera obscura, which is Latin for dichrom. It was used for several centuries. So, nakabutang diri, printing wasn't an option at that time because recording light was much more difficult than projecting it. So, mo to nga naka-develop sila og kanang lain nga device or naka-create sila lain nga option. Mo to ang ilang na kuha siguro nila is kining camera obscura, which is Latin for dichrom. In its simplest form, camera obscura is a dark, enclosed area with a hole in one side. For the camera obscura to function correctly, the hole must be sufficiently small in relation to the box. So, kung ato imagine nun bitaw no, kanang camera obscura bitaw box, siguro wala kita na sa panahon karon. Pero dari ang forma ng camera obscura kay naa siyang box tapos naa na siya gamay nga lingin bitaw sa tunga. Nana yung forma. Light that enters through a small hole converts and forms an image on the surface it hits. So, kung mulantaw day ka atong gamay nga lingin day, makita nimo kung unsang image nga nasa gawas, makita nimo sulod sa box or sa camera obscura. Di ba? Makita niyo diri, box na siya, naa na siya gamay nga gamay nga buston bitaw. So makita niyo diri, gamay nga box. Kung imo din ang tanaw, kung unsang image bitaw nga mo sulod diri sa box or sa camera obscura, mana siya. Then, the surface it is such as the box wall closed. So, diri sa dingding sa box, kung asa ga atupang ang bangag. Which is why the image is flipped and upside down. However, which is why modern analog cameras have made use of mirrors. So, kung makita niyo diri bitaw ang tao kay, di ba ka, anak, gatindog, tapos pag-abot, sulod sa camera obscura kay baliktad. Di ba? Opposite. Muna ka ng mga modern cameras, bitaw karon sample, ka na bitaw. mag-selfie ta ng front camera atong gamiton kay murag bali ang ano, murag reflection ra atong mga bitaw.
Mirror ba? Mirror.
Oh, converted na siya.
Na-press iPhone, no?
Yes. So, in the mid-16th century, Giovanni Battista della Porta, an Italian scholar, wrote an essay on how to use camera obscura to make the drawing process easier. So, kini, naana po yung lain bitaw nga tao nga interesado na bigid siguro siya nga utsagid day ko ani utsagid day gamit ani nga butag. Murag curious bitaw siya nga out of curiosity nga gusto siguro niya nga i-develop pagid na nga butag. Mo to nga nagbuhat siya og ano, essay about sa camera obscura para magamit bitaw siya mas dali ra magamit na. He projected the image of people outside the camera obscura on the canvas inside of it. Camera obscura was rather a big room in this case, and then drew over the image or tried to copy it. So, ang gibuhat ni kuan ano kining Italian scholar is nisulod diay siya dito sa ano sa camera obscura or katong box ug iyang gikopya ang ano ang image nga nasa gawas. Subalit ang iyang gibuhat naa siya sulod sa box. Tas nagdala siguro siya kina mga gamit niya tas iyang gikopya mo sa image nga nasa gawas. Para nakabatan diri to make the drawing process easier o para mas madali siguro ang iyang pag create bitaw image na. Renaissance artists used camera obscura as an aid in drawing. Nakabatan diri. Kay siguro wala pa siguro before pagid sa photography ang mga tao siguro sa una kay kana bitaw ang inilarang artist ano lang drawing lang o di ba painting nanara mo na nga makandri aid in drawing but not openly due to fear of association with occultism or cheating. Kaya nakabutang man diri nga create ni kining Italian scholar kay niadto siya sulod sa box para mas mapadali siya og drawing kay na may image nga nakaano daan. Ba nanay ang gibuhat. Madlog siguro ang mga tao nga maawat. Maignan bitaw maro cheating na. Today, it is seen as a prototype of the modern photo camera. So, tungod ay ato din ang gibuhat atong Italian scholar, mo din nga natay mas na-improve pa atong mga camera karon nga. Dili na ta kailangan mo drawing para mag-create og image na bitaw. Next, the first image. The first photo picture was taken in 1825 by a French inventor, Joseph Nicephore Niepce. It records a view from the window at the grass. So, makita bitaw ni Andre. Wala siya ang first picture nga gi-create ni Joseph Nicephore Niepce. So, ang yan ibuhat Joseph. So, Niepce used bitumen of Judea to record the camera's projection, which hardened with exposure to light and was polished to produce a negative image that could be coated with ink to produce a print. So, ang yan ibuhat ni Dre, nagkuhan na siya, nag-record din siya ng projection sa camera. Kaya bitaw, tas iya lang bitaw gi-print, produce a print, yung gamit ang mga coated with ink, yung manana bitaw. Muna yan ibuhat. Dahil makita niya Dre, kaya bitaw, dili pa kayo siya klaro, na bitaw, nana. Black and white, tas from the window at the glass. So sa bintana na niya siguro na gibuhat ay na capture bitaw na. Photography was first used as an aid in the work of an artist, but was not widely recognized until 1839, when Sir John Herschel invented the first glass negative and coined the term photography. After decades of refinements and improvements, mass use of cameras began in earnest with Eastman Kodak's simple but relatively reliable cameras such as the Kodak Brownie in 1900. So, diyan din nagsugod tanan. Kaya, di ba ganina sa game mo ka ng murag maro sa mga artist nga para madali ang drawing. Pero natin gapoy positive nga bitaw outcome kay na-create ang di ba, na nakabutang Eastman Kodak simple but relatively reliable cameras. So tungod ato day, naa na po yung naka-create og bago na po nga device nga maka-capture na po ng mga image. Na ba na? And next, color photography. It was explored throughout the 19th century, but didn't become commercially viable until the middle of the 20th century. Two French inventors, Louis Ducas de Hauran and Charles Cross, attempted the first practical color plate in 1907, which used a screen of filters to let filtered red, green, and or blue light through and then developed to a negative, later reversed to a positive. The first color photo, an image of a tartan ribbon, was taken in 1861 by James Clerk Maxwell, who was famous for his work with electromagnetism. Despite the great influence his photograph had on the photo industry, Maxwell is rarely remembered for this as his inventions in the field of physics overshadowed this accomplishment. So, di ba, kinabitaw sa tuwa karon kay magpicture ta sa itong mga cellphone kay diretso na, colored. Pero sila sa una kay maglisod pa sila. Maglisod sila kay pag manilag capture na, tapos ilan na pong butangan huwag kinabitaw para na i-color na nga picture, minanabitaw. Munang sa tuwa karon sa iyo na kayo kay diretso naman good color view the picture nga itong capture. Minanabitaw. So, natadiri ka rin sa mga kinabit ang mga tao nga naapoy mga nabitaw yung mga nabuhat po when it comes to image. Una si Alfred Stieglitz, an American photographer and promoter of modern art. Stieglitz, along with F. Hollanday, led the photo secession, a photography art movement that aimed to show that photography was not only about the subject, but also the manipulation by the photographer. He set up exhibitions and promoted photography through journals such as Camera Notes and Camera Work. So, makita niyo dali ba? Mo na ang examples dito sa mga nabuhat ni Stieglitz.
Napitikan?
Wala. Next is si Gaspard Felix Tournachon Felix Nadar. Nadar was a French caricaturist, journalist, and photographer who is best known for pioneering the use of artificial lighting in photography. He is credited with having published the first ever photo interview in 1886 and was known for depicting many famous people, including Jules Verne, Alexander Dumas, Peter Kropotkin, and George Sand. So, kini si Felix Nadar day, siya ang nakakuan day kanang bitaw mga interview sa una, siya ang una nga naka-capture bitaw. Example dito kan mga sikat nga mga tao sa una nga gipang interview. Siya ang naka-create bitaw mga picture nila ng mga famous people binana. So wala lang pug pinukuha na yung sample. Pero mo to siya. Next is si Henry Cartier Bresson, a French photographer who is most famous for creating the street photography style of photojournalism. At the age of 23, he became interested in photography and abandoned painting for it.
Napanin line.
Kini si Ricardo Bresson, iyang gibiyaan ng iyang kon. Painting. Kay mas interesado siya kung unsa gid ng mga sa mga image with photography kung unsa siguro kitaan na po niya bagong passion na po niya ka gusto siya kuan sa mga photography na. He took his first pictures all around the world, but avoided his native France. His first exhibition took place in New York's Judin Levy Gallery in 1932, and his first journalistic photos were taken at the George VI coronation in London. These works have influenced generations of photo artists and journalists around the world and are seen as iconic artworks. Despite his fame, there are few pictures of him as he was embarrassed of his fame. So sikat yung kayo siya. Sikat yung kayo siya. Siguro sa una. Dagan po dyan mga na-create bitaw po nga mga picture po tungod sa iyang passion niya. Ano yung mga example ni Carter Bresson na siya. Ini. Sa karon tawag nato na aesthetic bitaw. Pero sa una sikat na kanya nga picture sa una, bala ginalaro na siya. Di ba? So, next. Mana yung itong mga game ko na ganina bitaw itong mga hypertext links na types of image files din. GPEG or GPG meaning is Joint Photographic Experts Group. And then ay kadua PNG or Portable Network Graphics. And then JNF means Graphics Interchange Format. And then PIFM Tag Image File. Then PSD Photoshop Document. And PDF Portable Document Format. Then EPS Encapsulated PostScript. And EI Adobe Illustrator Document. INDD Adobe InDesign Document. And then lastly RAW or the RAW or raw image formats.
Napailas, so marami panglain naman tatanan